Ever walk out of Costco with like way more than you planned on buying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to dive deep into why that happens and, more importantly, whether it's a good thing for investors or not.
That's good.
If this is your first time joining us for a deep dive, we basically take a ton of research on a specific company, kind of like a mini MBA, and break it down into the stuff you actually need to know.
Awesome.
Today's mission: is Costco a smart, long-term investment? We're going to unpack their whole business model, look at the financials, even peek into their culture, and see if it all lives up to the hype.
Love it.
So first things first, Costco is pretty much a retail empire, right?
Yeah.
But it had pretty humble beginnings, believe it or not.
That's right. It all started way back in 1976 with Price Club.
Price Club.
Yeah, a warehouse store, but only for businesses back then.
Oh, interesting.
It took a few years, but then in 1983, the first actual Costco warehouse opened up.
Where was that?
Seattle, Washington.
Seattle. I bet it looks a little different now than it did back then, huh?
Oh, I'm sure.
Now they're seriously everywhere, and they're known for treating employees well, which is kind of surprising for retail, right?
Yeah, you don't see that too often. What's interesting is that Costco's commitment to fair wages and benefits seems to be a big reason they have such happy employees.
And happy employees usually equals happy customers.
Right.
All right. So we've got this giant company, loyal workforce, global reach. Who's the brains behind it all?
Well, Costco's management team is known for being really experienced, having a long-term vision. A lot of the executives have been with the company for decades.
Wow.
They've navigated the company through recessions, industry changes, all sorts of things.
So they've pretty much seen it all, from like recessions to the whole e-commerce boom and everything in between.
Pretty much.
That kind of experience is invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
They also seem really committed to the company's core values, things like prioritizing customer satisfaction, putting profits back into the business.
Absolutely. They're not just chasing quick wins. They're in it for the long haul.
It's refreshing to see that. It is. But, we can't just judge a company by its leadership, right? Nope. Got to look at those numbers. What about their financial health? How's Costco doing there?
Really strong.
Really?
Yeah, they've consistently grown their revenue every year.
Even with competition from like Amazon and all that?
Even with Amazon.
I'm guessing those membership fees play a big part in that. It's
Well,
like built-in recurring revenue, right?
Yeah, you got it. Those membership fees give Costco this nice, predictable income stream, which then lets them keep prices low on everything else. It's a really clever strategy.
It is. But low prices don't always mean big profits, right? What about their margins?
So this is where Costco does things a bit differently.
Okay.
Their profit margins are actually pretty low compared to other retailers.
Really?
Yeah, but there's a good reason for that.
Okay, I'm all ears. How can they stay profitable with low margins?
Simple. They make it up in volume. By selling stuff at such low prices, they sell a ton of it, which makes up for the lower profit margin on each item.
So it's kind of like a high-volume, low-margin game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Makes sense. They're kind of like the Walmart of bulk buying.
Yeah.
But even with a solid business model and those good financials, there's always got to be risks, right?
Of course.
What are some things investors should watch out for?
Well, one thing is they depend pretty heavily on those membership fees.
Right.
If people stop renewing, that could hurt their profits.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like any subscription service, they got to keep those members happy.
Keep them coming back for more.
Exactly.
What else? What else should we keep an eye on?
Well, competition's always a factor, right?
Right.
Even though Costco has a really loyal base, they've got pressure from those online giants like Amazon, Walmart. Everybody's getting into the grocery and bulk buying game.
It's a battle out there for sure. But I think Costco has something special, like that whole warehouse experience.
Yeah.
People love those giant pallets, the treasure hunt vibe. You can't really get that online.
True, but they can't just ignore the online world either.
Right.
They've got to keep investing in their website, their whole online strategy.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Staying true to what they're known for, but also keeping up with the times.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot. We've talked about Costco's origins, their financials, potential risks, and we're just getting started.
It's going to be good.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding now of how Costco runs, who's running the show, how are their finances looking. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about something a little more fuzzy, I guess.
Okay.
Market sentiment,
Yeah.
What's the overall buzz around Costco stock? Like, how do people feel about it?
Well, Wall Street seems to love them.
Really?
Yeah, analysts are consistently giving Costco positive ratings, and a lot of that has to do with their steady growth, their reliable dividends, and that incredible customer loyalty that we were just talking about.
Uh,
It's like the blue chip stock that everyone feels good about having in their portfolio.
yeah, makes sense. So they're like the darling of Wall Street, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. But of course, there's always going to be some naysayers, right?
Always got to be somebody, right?
People who see some storm clouds on the horizon.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are the skeptics saying?
Well, some analysts are a little worried about Costco's valuation. The stock has been trading at a premium for a while now, and some people are saying it's just gotten too expensive.
Okay, so the whole buy low, sell high crowd
Mm,
is maybe not as excited about Costco right now.
exactly.
What else? What other concerns are they bringing up?
Well, there's also some chatter about whether Costco can keep up this growth, in this crazy retail world that's always changing so fast.
Yeah.
The competition is fierce out there, especially from these online retailers that are constantly coming up with new ways to attract shoppers.
It's a good point. I mean, even a company as big as Costco can't just sit back and relax, right?
Exactly. They have to stay on their toes.
Okay, so we've got the bulls and the bears all weighing in on Costco's future. But let's move on to another important piece of the puzzle when it comes to investing, and that is who actually owns Costco? Like, who has a piece of the pie?
Well, a big chunk of Costco is owned by these big institutional investors, like mutual funds, pension funds, those kinds of things.
Okay.
They hold a pretty significant percentage of the company's shares.
So it's the big guys that have the most say in what happens with Costco.
Yeah, pretty much.
Does that mean that us regular folks, the smaller investors, are kind of left out in the cold?
Not necessarily. You can still buy Costco stock,
Okay.
but it's just important to remember that these big institutional investors often have a bigger influence on the decisions that the company makes.
Yeah, they got more money in the game, so they get a louder voice at the table. Makes sense.
Right.
All right, so we've looked at Costco from all these different angles, their business model, how the market feels about them, who owns the company. But the big question is still out there. Is Costco a good investment or not?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. So how do we figure that out?
Well, we need to plant a framework to help us make a smart decision.
Okay, a framework, break it down for me. What do we need to think about?
So first, we got to look at what makes Costco special. What are their competitive advantages? What sets them apart from the competition and allows them to keep making money?
Right. We talked about some of that already. Their loyal customer base, the low prices, they're really good at running their business efficiently, all that stuff.
Exactly. All that good stuff. And then we got to look at their financials. Are they actually profitable? Is their balance sheet healthy? Do they have good cash flow? All that boring but important stuff.
Yeah, the numbers got to add up, right? And from what we've seen so far, it looks like they're doing pretty well on that front.
They are. They are. And then, of course, we got to look at the management team. Are they experienced? Do they have a history of making good decisions? Are they the right people to lead this company?
Yeah. You want somebody at the helm who knows what they're doing.
For sure. And again, it seems like Costco scores pretty high in this area. Their leadership team has been around for a while. They've got a good reputation.
Okay, so they got the brains, the experience, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, we can't forget about market sentiment and valuation. How does Wall Street feel about the company, and is the stock actually trading at a price that makes sense?
Right. And this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because we've got those differing opinions about Costco's valuation. Some people think it's too expensive. Some people think it's just right.
Yeah, it's not always a clear-cut answer.
And there's always the risk that, the competition could get even tougher, or that people might just stop being as crazy about buying in bulk.
All valid points, all things to consider.
So it's kind of a balancing act, right? Weighing the potential rewards with the risks.
It always is when it comes to investing.
All right, well, before we give our final verdict on Costco, we want to remind everyone listening to please subscribe to The Deep Dive so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
And if you're looking for even more stock picking inspiration, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, Stock Analytics. We're always looking for interesting companies to break down and analyze.
Yeah, head over there. Let us know what stocks you'd like us to deep dive into next. We love hearing from you guys. Okay, so we've gone through pretty much everything. Costco's business, their financials, the management team, how the market feels about them, even who owns the company. All right, that brings us to the end of our Costco deep dive. Thanks to everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Hope you learned something new. Maybe got a few ideas for your own investing journey. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives into interesting companies and investment trends.
And don't forget to head over to our YouTube channel, Stock Analytics. Let us know what stocks you'd like us to cover in future episodes. We love hearing from you guys.
All right, until next time, happy investing. And remember, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and talk to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Stay smart out there.
We'll catch you in the next deep dive.